everyone, welcome to NCW. If you can tell, we are in a different location today. We are in our studio. That is because I forgot that Noah wasn't going to be here today, so you get me for our character spotlight segment just by myself, and you get to listen to me talk for hopefully only about 10 minutes. But before that, we had a nice interview with David Wall to discuss Killer Kobra number 2 of 3, which releases in stores today. So let's go take a look at that. Killer Kobra: The Hunt Begins, Part 2 of 3. After barely escaping a brutal encounter with the towering monster believed to be Bigfoot, Killer Kobra finds himself wounded and stranded in the unforgiving wilderness. But survival isn't his only challenge. Along the way, he crosses paths with the most unexpected duo yet, Phil and Floyd, aka Mangoat and the Bunny Man. Kobra must decide if they are friends or the deadliest of foes. As tensions rise and truths come to light, he's forced to question everything he thought he knew about monsters. One thing's for sure, this mission is far from over, and the real monsters may not be who we expected. Written by Joe Bruscia, with artwork by Rodrigo Xavier and Massimiliano Lamano, colors by Leonardo Pacchiarotti, letters by Taylor Esposito of Ghost Cliff Studios, edited by David Wall, production and design by Christopher Cote, and the Grimm universe was created by Joe Bruscia and Ralph Tedesco. Hi everyone, I'm here with David Wall today. We are going to talk about Killer Kobra number 2. David, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just to start, if you could just give me a little overview of Killer Kobra issue number 2. I know in issue number 1, he's introduced to Bigfoot, which I know Joe, my dad, he loves Bigfoot.
He does. He loves all of those
cryptids.
Theological, cryptids. Actually, this 2 becomes a much bigger cryptid issue because, and I think the interesting thing about Killer Kobra is that, in its basis, it's like I think Joe just really wanted to do like some cool martial arts story from like the 70s. Where it could introduce like all these different like Cobra, the death by 1,000 finger pokes and all these different things that he wants to put in there. And then he wants the artist to like draw it. He's like, and then draw the and then he's got this mongoose, that chopstick who talks. He took that character and then put it into the monster world of ours, like that started with Mangoat and Bunny Man. I guess it started with the Monster Hunter handbook years ago, and then like all these different books that we've had on the periphery, like All Guts No Glory and Pooh. I guess Pooh Bambi is part of it now. So basically there's this like kind of world that's alongside our Zenescope universe that's really that's a conversation for another day when we have big plans for the different worlds about that.
But he's the worst spoiler. He's mentioned all sorts of stuff when we're interviewing, and I'm like, you can't say that yet.
So the monsters will take a bigger part in the fall, but I think Killer Kobra is sort of the first example of a character who's sort of, a conventional superhero in a sense, dropped into the world with Mangoat and Bunny Man. And in issue 2, we see Mangoat and Bunny Man and Bigfoot and Vesper, who was from the Mangoat and Bunny Man last storyline. They all kind of get together, and fight this bigger enemy. And the other thing that is introduced is, we're doing these Zenescope legends and myths and monsters. And I think in those stories, we're showing how things are connected, in a different way. And that comes through in this Killer Kobra story too, in 2 and then especially in 3.
I'm gonna say I didn't get to read 2 yet. I read 1. I didn't get to 2 yet, but I do know. So in the Myths and Monsters, the Mangoat and the Bunny Man story, we kind of are tying into the Grimm universe a little bit, and Neverland with the Goblin Queen. So she shows up.
And then in the Killer Kobra first, the one.
I read that one too with the fanboy. I thought that was hilarious.
Right, but that one will tie into this story too. Not the fan. He won't be around.
No, he's gone. He was safe. So talk to me a little bit about the editing process. As I mentioned earlier, in my brain, when I hear editing, I think like you're looking for like grammar and spelling errors, because those are the things I'm terrible at. But I know that there's more that goes into, editing a comic book, and you kind of are I almost want to say like the central being to like the interior artists and, the letterer and everyone that works to put these issues together.
Yeah, it's really like a process especially in Zenescope. I mean, some companies are different because some companies, like creators, will come to you with their idea. Then you're just sort of helping them to make the story as good as it can be. You know, like I'll read it and be like, oh, well, you know, I think that this character doesn't really make sense, you know, or maybe you need a little more or whatever. But then it's really their story that we're publishing, but it's really like a creator-owned thing. At Zenescope, the whole idea of like they're our characters, so we're sort of the shepherds for our characters. So Joe is sort of an exception because like he's got like very strong ideas and he understands the characters.
Damn,
So
strong ideas, never opinions. What?
He has a few, but a lot of times, like we'll come up with the outlines for stories. Like when I was with Dave, you know, Dave and I would together be like, okay, and with Joe, like we'll have these like yearly sort of meetings where we'll be like, okay, this is where we want to go this year. These are the characters we want to do, and we have this big event that's coming. You know, Father Time event is coming right now. So a lot of that is just planning, is saying, okay, then this month we'll want this stuff to happen, and this month we'll want this to happen. And then either Joe or me or an external writer will come in based on an outline that we'll provide them, because we know where we want the story to end usually, or like where we want the character to end. Like if I want Van Helsing to end up here because she's going to end up meeting some old villain from the past who is really strong in her life, then I need to do these things to get to that point. So as an editor, it's my job to make sure we get to the right place. And then in each individual issue, it's to make sure that the story is a good story, because I don't want people to read a story being like, oh, this is just filler for what's happening in the fall. I don't want people to feel like it's filler. You know, I want the story to, it's got to have its own story and push the B story forward. So that on the bigger scale is what editors do. But then, yeah, more finely, it's finding the artists, working with the artists, making sure they keep their deadlines, which is the hardest part.
Nobody likes a deadline. No one likes it.
As a writer, I'm terrible with deadlines. So I understand what it's like to be on the other side of it. But I have to, you know, hear if they're having issues, you know, make things clear, make sure the art is working. Yeah, and then work with the letterer, and then do like more straightforward editing, like line editing, copy editing. And then to make sure the book gets done on time. And also, it's also finding new artists, finding new writers, and keeping them happy as they could be.
Is there anything else you feel like you want to share? One about Killer Kobra #2, or maybe like talk me through the editing process for this specific issue. And you know how you decided, I forget who did the interior art. I know that will be in our voiceover at the beginning of the episode.
Rodrigo Xavier and Massimiliano Lamano. They both really enjoy the book, so they enjoyed working on it. And it was and also the colorist is really good, Leonardo Pacchiarati.
I mean, the interior art, we have a lot of my feelings.
I'm sure I didn't pronounce his name right, so I apologize to Leonardo who watches this. But yeah, it was a fun process because everyone understood what Joe wanted to do, and like there weren't any notes on our side, you know, except we had to, well, not really in issue 2, but in issue 1, we really had to get the tattoos right because we had like some designs, but we didn't know exactly, like he's got this snake that goes down his hands and the magic that he has sort of flows out of it. So we had to really understand that. So it took a little while to get it, but we got it.
I also think I like Killer Kobra too because it's different than anything I feel like we've done recently. I mean, we don't have a lot of male main characters. I don't complain about that because I love the strong female lead. It's what I read most of, but that's also, I'm seeing myself in the comics as a woman. So I feel like, you know, while we do have a lot of male fans, like having a story that they can maybe connect to is awesome.
The question is, will we have Killer Kobra in a swimsuit in upcoming swimsuit issues? We get to see his whole like. And I've heard from people who have said that's the one criticism they have of Zenescope is that they don't have men in the swimsuit issues.
Sarah and I were talking about we want to do like because I'm pushing to bring back the April Fools short because I just think I always thought that they were hilarious, and like I know that you guys with your making sure that the real stories, the mattering stories, are getting done. I was like, all right, in April Fools thing because it can be ridiculous. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. But Sarah and I wanted to do like a beefcake pinup cover for that And we can put Shang on there. We'll put Killer Kobra. We can throw Peter Pan on, or not Peter Pan, Hook. He's the good guy. Put all the men on the cover. Anything else that you want to share about Killer Kobra or the editing process that you feel like our fans would enjoy, or anything in general, other than the fact that Dave will be here by the time this episode airs? Actually, you will be in Pennsylvania.
I will. Oh wait, yeah, I'll come Wednesday night. No, I just it's really an enjoyable book. I hope when people look at it, they see that like it's one of those books where like the love kind of goes into it. You know, you could see the enjoyment that Joe has writing it and that we all have working on it, because it's just a fun project. And I want to make sure that all good things happen to Killer Kobra. He's a good guy.
I hope so. I mean, my favorites are all apparently on the chopping block. Every time I ask him about Robin Hood, I get a non-committal answer.
She's gonna be there.
At least Kara's will be safe because she's the goddess of death. How can you kill her?
You can't. Well, you could, but that's a different story.
Shout out to David for being my interview this week. I did email him last minute, so I appreciate him taking the time to talk to us about Killer Kobra #2. I hope you guys enjoy it and then are looking forward to the conclusion of the miniseries next month. Today we are going to talk about our Grimm character of the year. Zenescope character of the year. Kara's. I personally was sad that she dethroned Robin because she's my favorite, but I know that we have a lot of Kara's lovers. So we're going to talk a little bit about her time in the Zenescope universe. If you didn't know, her first appearance was No Tomorrow, written by Raven Gregory, which released the trade came out in 2014. So almost 11 years ago at this point. So she's been around for a long time, at least half of the time that Zenescope has existed. Our official character description for her, and I'm going to have to read from my notes. I don't have things memorized. I apologize. The goddess of death is an erratic primal force who uses her powers to punish those she deems deserving of her wrath. Many unsuspecting people who cross her path learn the harsh lessons about morality, whether they want to or not. Personally, I always compare Kara's to Seela because the way that Tales of Terror and the way that, Grimm fairy tales started out are kind of similar, where it was like an anthology. Each issue had its own story, and, Grimm fairy tales had Seela, teaching people lessons through the fairy tales. Kara's does a similar thing. However, I feel 9 times out of 10 it ends poorly, and it's usually bad people, where Seela's trying to help, people who might be struggling a little bit with their morals, and she tries to lead them to the right path. Kara's doesn't, she don't give an F. She's ready to kill everyone. Kara's, I feel like most of her interactions end with someone or multiple someone's dying. But I do like that Seela Kara's comparison. Death is a natural part of life, but what happens when it goes rogue? A new horror enters Zenescope's Grimm universe as Kara's, the goddess of death, wreaks havoc on an unsuspecting Earth. Destroying almost everything in her path, Kara sets out to rid the world of humanity, and a regular family man named Patrick Clay just may be the only person who can stop her. When death arrives at your door, there is no tomorrow. So I read No Tomorrow probably when it came out in trade paperback form, so about 10 years. I do remember enjoying it, but that's all I can really say about it. You'll have to, pick it up and read it yourself if you haven't yet. And then Kara's also shows up in our Bridgewater Triangle graphic novel, which the Bridgewater Triangle is set in Massachusetts. For some reason, when I kept reading it, I was thinking of the Bermuda Triangle. That was a me being confused thing. But again, short story with a set of college freshmen who are exploring the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts, which is similar to the Bermuda Triangle, has a lot of paranormal instances, UFO sightings, creepy monsters, the typical Tales of Terror stuff. So those are her 2 short story graphic novels. And then, of course, she is our flagship character for Grimm Tales of Terror, which is our anthology series. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not too much of a horror person, but I do like that Grimm Tales of Terror takes urban legends or retells classic stories. I like Edgar Allan Poe, which again, I know I contradict myself by saying I don't like horror, but then I do like Edgar Allan Poe, but it is what it is. Our other appearances, Kara's has quite a few. One shot that she did, we did our quarterlies, and they were all surrounded by Grimm Tales of Terror. So I will list them for you and give you, I would say, 2 to 3 words of how I would describe the stories. So first quarterly is called Game Night. In the description of the book, it says that it's family friendly. I'm going to go with that it is not a family friendly game night. For me, I would equate it to playing Monopoly because that's my least favorite board game and I hate everything about it, but that's probably because I always lose. The next one is Sea of Souls, where a group of people go on a haunted ghost ship cruise, which I would never go on a haunted ghost ship cruise. That sounds really not fun. Also, the ocean in general, I love the beach, but the ocean is terrifying. The fact that it hasn't been explored completely just like, Sam, what do you think the chances are that Megalodon is still alive?
I know he is, I met him.
Sam met the Megalodon. So like that kind of stuff, creepy. Freaks me out. The ocean is a terrifying place. Then there is our Back to School Quarterly, which is 4 interconnecting short stories where Karis is a guidance counselor, which as someone who was considering that for a, that was going to be a career option for me, I can't imagine that she's very good at it. And then our Rise of Cthulhu. If you don't know, Cthulhu is a cosmic entity. He's that weird, he always reminds me of an octopus. Yeah, Kraken. Cthulhu entering the Grimm universe. And then our 2023 Valentine's Day special, which again is 4 short stories with love potions, serial killers, renegade cupids, and a dating app from hell. The cover with the baby cupid like monster thing freaked me out. I don't like it. It's kind of and dating apps from hell, I feel like that's most of them. So I can't imagine that wouldn't be something that someone somewhere would connect to. And then we have Heart's Desires, which is about creepy artwork. Not an art person, not good at it. I can't imagine, a piece of art that shows you what you most want and then turns it into something terrible. That, again, if you're into all the creepy stuff, you're going to love it. And then our 2024 holiday special, which is 4 short stories that take place during the happiest time of the year. I will bet you $5 that not one of the stories ends happily. I bet you there's like a renegade Santa or maybe Krampus. We like to bring Krampus into stuff every now and then. I'm sure he shows up. Who knows? You have to read it and tell me. But that is our Kara's spotlight. I'm sorry that it was just me talking. I wish Noah was here, but he worked with iGeekdom this week. So, we let him take a day off. Thank you for listening to my rant about Kara's. Our upcoming events, we have 3 Rivers Comic Con in Pittsburgh, PA from 6/7 to 6/8. Something really cool, we are partnering, there is a local brewery near the convention center that every year they do a beer partnership with, one of the companies that are going to be there. And this year they chose us. So we have a Sealess Snow White, I think it's a stout. It's some sort of like coffee, beer combination, which actually kind of sounds right up my alley. And I think the ABV is high too. It's like 11% or something. So if you're going to be at 3 Rivers Comic Con, I know Noah has all that information for us in our email blasts so that you can see and you can check out our specialty beer for the convention. I'm trying to get them to bring some back for us because I feel like I want to try it. And then we also have a couple upcoming virtual events. Our next retailer live stream is going to be on 6/3, 4 p.m. Come check out one of our local comic shops. I believe the one that we're doing this month, for June, is located in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. So not too far. Sometimes we go across the country. This time we're keeping it close to home. And then our 20th anniversary virtual con is on 6/5. And then we also have our half Christmas VCon on 6/25. So you get double the VCons 2 months in a row. I feel like that was really kind of us. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Happy Wednesday. Enjoy your new comics. And I will see you guys next week I'm really excited for our next one because it's our 20th anniversary cover gallery. And I will be interviewing, I got like a whole lineup of artists that were kind enough to tell me that they would talk to me for a little while. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. I will see you guys next week.